Boom, 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 boom. It's
Hello.
illegal desert times.
Welcome.
Trying that out. It's like it's morphin time, or it's
What's
birds on
more?
the wire time.
Did you say
It's
morphin? What's morphin, or did you mean muffin? Muffin time.
morphin, like the mighty morphin Power Rangers. Like
I have no idea
it's
what that means.
it's well, it's Japanese.
Doesn't sound Japanese.
It's that's the English one. That's how it is.
Okay.
Welcome, guys. We got uh snazzy show for you today. We should do like can we do it like our cousins? Oh, we got a good show for you today. Right?
I've never heard that. I have no idea to what you're referring, Fletcher.
It's the Hodge brothers. They're like,
Oh,
like, we got a good show for you today.
that's funny. No, I'm not. I'm familiar with them. I know they're the twins, right? They're
Yes,
okay.
that's a
Yeah,
chance.
they're the twins. They sell a lot of good merchandise, is what I know.
Yeah, so they should start the show kind of like, oh, we got a lot of good merchandise for you today, and some videos too.
Uh-huh.
Maybe. But first, the merchandise. So, yeah,
Not a bad idea.
not a bad idea. Yeah. But welcome, guys, to our seventh show of our awesome little podcast that we started for Indignant Desert Birds. We call it Birds on the Wire, and this is our seventh episode. Wow. Can you
And
believe that?
yes, and we call it that because we are like the birds looking out on what's happening in the culture. It's a take on the poem by William Butler Yeats, a beautiful poem that one day we keep threatening to say it for you all. So we will have to do that at some point. But it's called The Second Coming, in which at the end of time he talks about the kind of destruction that might come, and so that's what we're looking out on. But we're also talking about things in a positive manner. We look at art, culture, and all things of interest to the modern Catholic from our perspective as Catholic Christians.
Yeah, I mean, it's our take on things and all stuff. We felt that there weren't a lot of people like us in the sphere of the podcast. Usually things in the Catholic realm are either a little bit stiff, a little bit loosey goosey on some things, and usually not from kind of like our point of view. I guess it seems. I'm a big nerd. Ursula, it's a big nerd as well in her
I'm not a
literature and
nerd.
art and
I'm
stuff.
not a nerd, but I
She's a
do
little
I do
nerd.
respect I respect nerds, and so we take the position that the word Catholic means universal. So everything is of interest to the Catholic. We won't just talk about, Gregorian chants and nuns, in monasteries. We talk about everything that an engaged person living at this time in the city of God will be thinking about. Even if you're not in the city of God, which unfortunately we're not, but we do strive for it, and so that's kind of where we get this idea. So that thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, and it's really appreciated. We're trying to learn things as we go along, and you being here really help us out. And, it's a bit of a morale boost, and also it's fun to chat with you. So make sure to let us something in the chat. Of course, we got to do the mandatory smash the like, share, and subscribe, and
Oh,
make sure you hit the notification bell because YouTube's messing with the algorithms.
and for those who are
Right?
watching us on Rumble, also like us, and no, we don't have to do the monster voice. I'm not sure what Fletcher's channeling this morning,
Yeah.
afternoon. But please, yes, please show your support. Please like and subscribe, write notes, comments, and please follow us. And feel free to share us all over the place, social media. So
Yeah, do you
thank
want
you.
to hit? Do you want to hit something a little weird and whimsy first before we
Sounds
get into
good.
the debates?
Sure.
All right. So I didn't know this was a little bit of a pop culture take, but they had the Snow White had come out. But actually, you know what? I have the debate already queued up, so let's just go with that.
When you say debate, you're talking about the vice presidential debate, right? Between J.D. Vance and Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz.
Yes, yes.
All right,
So
the one and only.
the one and only. He was a bit demure. I think a lot of
Well, it
people were
was
saying,
it,
right?
it was the one and only because it's not anticipated that they will debate again. That would be the one and done. It was definitely interesting to watch. Did you watch it, Fletcher?
I did watch. I did watch. Kind of like listening, half listening type deal, and it was a very civil debate. I think it was the most civil debate I've heard in a while. There was like no screaming and shouting. While I felt like maybe the CBS people did, overstep a little bit sometimes. They didn't uh, do the fact check as visceral as they did on the Trump Harris one.
But they really
So
shouldn't have done any of it, and I think that was probably one of the best moments of the night is when JD Vance fact checks the fact checkers because they apparently had a rule they wouldn't do that this time and basically, interrupt a speaker or at the end of a speaker making a statement, basically criticize it or critique it or say, well, that's not the actual case. And what they like to do is if it's the side they don't care for, they'll interrupt or at the end say, oh, no, that's not true. And then, okay, next question. And don't leave the person a chance to respond. Well, Vance did a really good job of that because he said, wait a minute, you said the rules were that we weren't going to fact check me. And if so, if you're going to say that, I'm wrong and that the immigrants, the migrants in Springfield, Ohio, who are mostly Haitian, are here legally, let me explain to you how they're not here legally, or that's really just a technicality. And then he basically took us all to school on some kind of voucher or some kind of app program by which they are really by as he put it, the waving of Kamala Harris's wand made to be allowed to stay, even though they really did not enter in any traditional legal manner. And she kept the moderators, I think, were not that good for this debate. You're right, Fletcher. They were better maybe than they were for Trump Harris's debate, but they weren't great. They were kind of shrill. They tried to cut off Vance's microphone at one point, and like the kind of being stopped with the fake fact check. And I love the kind of Jim Halpert vibes that Vance is giving in this picture you're showing. He's like looking at the camera, almost
like,
breaking the fourth wall, you know.
had to clip that and all stuff. But yeah, they did. The memes from this thing were epic. I think it was half a VP debate, half a meme dump because you were talking about the other one and it was like, oh man, you guys are just checking these memes out. As all the memes creators were going crazy uh, with all of the content that they were receiving because it was quite epic. They had you did mention that Vance was doing like the fact checks and kind of getting back at her, the moderator on that, but all the memes were just like hilarious on this thing. Everything was like it was
Yeah.
just it's like, hold on, let me just yeah, they weren't expecting that. They weren't expecting him to be so prepared. I did hear a lot of people did change their mind um, on this because seeing how Vance handled himself, they did have a kind of like a change of heart. So we'll see. We'll see what the outcome is. Hopefully, but it was an interesting debate. That is stuff. I do think that a lot of people were happy with the civility of it. At one time they were agreeing with each other. um, you know, empathizing. It was a very
Well, I think
properly civil debate.
I think it was civil. I think the reason that it may have been civil is because Vance was quite masterful in how he managed the debate. He was a classic lawyer. He knew, what points to emphasize, which ones to de-emphasize, how to get things back on track, and then where to agree where he could. And I think that actually disarmed. Um, I think that disarmed Waltz a bit. So Waltz definitely looked quite nervous. He did repeat a lot of discredited things, like this one here that you have up, that these women, may they rest in peace, were killed because of a lack of access to abortion, or because abortion in their states had been limited by a certain, time in the woman's pregnancy, so they had to travel. But that's not true. The research and what a lot of people are bringing forth is that these women in particular, the one I think that Waltz mentioned, had taken abortion pills that had a bad reaction, which can happen. They're very seriously dangerous pills, and then had medical negligence. There's nobody that doesn't take care of a woman who's having an active miscarriage or abortion. That wasn't the case at all. Even if there are laws against abortion, if she's already in the midst of one, they're going to give her medical care. But she had bad medical care, and that's why she died. I think that was the case for the other woman too. It highlights what they should be caring about, which they don't seem to care about, is they're giving, I don't think there's men who would be given pills that could literally kill them in the privacy of their home without any oversight. And that's what, without a doctor prescribing them or actually supervising the taking of them. It's like, here, take these pills, you get in the mail, and okay, good luck. And if there's a problem, now you're on the phone trying to reach out to someone, and you don't have already an established relationship with a caregiver. I think that's really horrible. And that's why these women died. It wasn't because of pro-life laws.
Yeah,
And he kind of went through that again, which is what your picture is showing.
Right, and I believe that it shows a little bit of the craftiness that goes on to these debates, if we could call it that, where you're just trying to get your point across, telling stories. I do think that part of Waltz's storytelling, swayed a few of his people. I don't know how much it swayed some of, on the right side, but I do think that uh, basically JD being empathetic to the situation kind of, alleviated any harshness they might have thought came from the debate, right? Any kind of, like when people are like, okay, this is totally unfair, this is a bloodbath or anything like that. It wasn't evident in this. It was more of a, hey, let's reason together, and it did come off that way. At least to me, I do feel like it showed a very caring and understanding but firm Republican Party, candidate. So that was I think my view on it, because I do think that they were able to keep it very civil and very, they kind of walked along the line of civility and not towing the line, So it's I think it was well done. There was some people were joking around because they're saying that even during the debate, it looked like Mr. Walz was kind of being swayed to vote Trump, which was hilarious. I think they had some people talk about it.
Makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have that support paid family leave right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only go to one kind of childcare model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with childcare. Maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area and you'd like to get together with families in your neighborhood to provide childcare in the way that makes the most sense. You don't get access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote childcare, because look, it is unacceptable. And, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Right? I mean, at some point you see that Walt is basically just nodding his head like, man, you're spitting some facts, bro. You're really like, yeah, man. I just the facial expressions, just like, it's quite interesting. I mean, if somebody's out there's like sorry, Ursula, you there? I think you're cut off.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Well, looks like I'm back. I might have gotten cut off there a little bit, but yeah, I mean, definitely Waltz was giving a lot of strange. He has some weird facial tics, and they really do distract from what he's trying to say a lot. He has the kind of wide-eyed look. He kind of buggy eyes out there, kind of wildly gesticulating. Um, hand gestures that kind of really, I think, undermine what he's trying to do. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get better coaching on how to appear on camera, whereas it looks like Vance was, again, like some people say, giving a master class in this, just kind of even toned, looking straight at the camera, sometimes giving us the side eye, almost like conspiratorially with everyone watching. It was really quite stunning. They were very different in terms of their style. But I agree with you that it was very, yeah, it was pretty cordial overall. It wasn't that bad to watch. I think that was something that was nice. And I'm surprised to hear you say it did change people's minds though.
Yeah, I did hear there was a few tweets and stuff like that going out, saying that it changed a few people's minds on basically voting for Trump. They thought that JD Vance not only was a great BP pick, but also they see him as presidential. They did see him as very much somebody who can, you know, push this nation forward in a show strength. I mean, if you just look at the two side by side, I mean, it's pretty crazy that that they would have this you know this kind of facial, you know, I wouldn't say a very strong masculine look and a very bewildered look, if you want to be kind on the
I don't think bewildered is unkind for him. He was really manic at sometimes. And of course he made those gaffes, right? One of the gaffes was that he's friends with school shooters. Now I'm not sure how I feel about how people are taking this. Some people are taking him, really at face value and literally, like you're saying you've become friends with school shooters. When he was asking about, gun control, and he says, well, look, I've become friends with school shooters. Others say, maybe it's a minority. I think some say that was, kind of a telling moment. Maybe he really means that, or he's characteristically exaggerating and, speaking, kind of too fast and loose. Others say, well, obviously it was just a mistake. He misspoke. What he meant to say was, I become friends with the victims of school shooters. But I have to say, Fletcher, he's never corrected it. Not at the moment, which I think I would have done if I caught myself saying that, or afterwards. I know there's been a couple of interviews. He was at some cafe with his wife having breakfast, I think another place for lunch. They've all asked him about it and he just waves it off. Now, he may have been instructed, don't talk about it, because that makes it just linger longer, because anything you say to try to correct it might make it worse. Or maybe, he doesn't correct it because he doesn't want to correct it. Maybe he's become friends with school shooters. I hope not.
Yeah, it does seem like they had some really kind of unfortunate takes that you kind of look at it and you go, hey, people make word salads a lot of the times, but Trump really
People,
jumped on it.
you mean Harris? She's the she is the queen of word salads until recently. We're not maybe not going to cover it today, but the synod on synodality, the kind of what's happening in Europe with this new kind of conference of some of the elite of the church, the Catholic Church, kind of coming to terms about how they want to change the church and having kind of an open meeting about it. And some of the things that have been said verily qualify as word salad. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. And then we'll have more information because it's just getting started now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, maybe we'll have to do something like extra special on it. Yeah, Trump took to social media and really hammered it up with a yard sign mock-up saying Trump Vance 2024, and the asterisk in the bottom says not friends with school shooters. So yeah. And it's just the memes just kept going, and it's
unfortunate.
It was relentless. It's
pretty funny. Yeah, real butter versus seed oils. One is on seed oils, one is on real butter. That's real butter on your brain, guys. Use the real butter. No, Vance definitely. I think I have my issues with Vance. I've said that before. I think sometimes he's been careless in his words, but I don't think he was during the debate. I don't think he was. There may have been one moment or so where he may have seemed to have stumbled, but he came back from it really, really well. There wasn't a lot of problems. And on the other hand, we didn't mention, aside from the gaffe about school shooting, Waltz also apparently ended up calling himself on national television a knucklehead. He called himself that because he was confronted with the discrepancy, as the moderators called it, of saying that he was in China during the time of the riot or the revolution of Tiananmen Square. And he was not. He was there in the summer before or something like that. So it was one of those things where he was stuck and he was doing a word salad his own and ended up just saying that. There was one time I think the moderators did right, because they did kind of hold his feet to the fire and said, look, okay, just were you there or not? And he finally had to say, okay, no, not really. I was there before. I was in the, I was in the vibe of the revolution. I was there in the vibe. But I wasn't there during the time. And so I'm just a knucklehead. Sometimes I get excited and I say, so that was kind of not a great moment. I mean, it's not the worst way to handle it, but most of the times what the moderators were doing, which was really, really annoying, Fletcher, was basically saying things like, okay, do you want to respond to that, Governor, what he just said? But they didn't really honor, Vance that way and gave him, special opportunities to respond. And in fact, they would kind of seem to give him extra questions, because they would say, how do you respond to what he just said? Right. At times when he didn't, perhaps have that as a pending question. It's hard to describe if you didn't see it, but it's the typical kind of tricks. The thing is, despite all of that, Vance still conquered. So nothing for him to be worried about today. And I think it's evident that he did, Fletcher, because people were apoplectic the next day.
No, definitely. And I do think that a lot of, even like the, we would say liberal side of the aisle also, I think, had polls saying that, Vance had taken the lead on that one, until they started, it was a clear victory and stuff like that. So it was a lot of people a bit afraid of what could happen with if this um, is not taken care of. Like if maybe uh, Mr. Walsh is not kind of railed in or something like that, right?
Right, right.
But yeah, it was an interesting thing to see it because it did feel like, whoa, this is they're not yelling, they're not thing. It was very nice to see it at least at that point.
Well,
Well,
that's a great point you make, Fletcher. I appreciate that. I definitely did not think of it that way. But yeah,
yeah,
I don't think you're wrong. You're right. It
yeah,
was
I thought it was
fairly
yeah.
civilized. Yeah.
I thought it was nice to see something like that that was civilized. One of the things that I think you sent me this story that I don't think is very civilized, especially at a time like this when the country is hurting so much from disasters, is that the longshoremen are basically saying they're going to cripple. They pledge. Uh, they pledge to cripple. This is from the headline. This is from the Getaway Pundit. Justin Longshore Union president who pledged to cripple. Yeah. The United States owns a 76-foot yacht, Bentley, and paid almost $1 million per year. Body of his co-defendant Rico case was found decomposing in truck. I mean,
Yeah,
what
not
is
questionable
this?
at all. Well, yeah, exactly. So, in case you haven't been following it, everyone, with everything going on, the Longshore Union president did an interview recently in which he did say that he intended to show the powers that be that they want to have, their money raised, even though all of them make really good money, and especially today when so many people are unemployed, out of work, underemployed, or having trouble, that they want to make more, and they're already making quite a bit. Like you said, he's making approximately $1 million a year, something like 980,000 or so a year, and he's saying that he wants more. He wants more, and they all want more, and if not, they have every intention of making it that Americans won't get their goods, a lot of which do come in by boat. And so people already are starting to react to this, Fletcher. I understand that some people are already having the same problem we had with COVID, with, trying to buy in bulk for paper goods and so forth, because they're concerned that it's going to dry up if they really do, continue out their threat to so-called cripple the United States, which I guess they could, because of, again, a lot of things, especially with international trade, does come through by water. After it
Right.
gets here, it goes out by trucks, but on the way here is by water. So if they, at this time when we have an actual hurricane decimating a large part of the United States, to think that you would say something like that you want a 70% pay increase, not a 10% even, not a 20%, not a 30%, not a 40%, not a 50%, not a 60%, a 70% pay increase. Now, of course, they may be just starting out with terms. When you're doing a negotiation, you don't always ask for what you really are willing to settle for. But that's obscene. At this time of day and age, when people are really suffering at the gas tank, at the grocery store, everything seems to cost so much. Everyone seems to be tightening their belts, and you're going to say something like that hurts fellow Americans. It's like, really? I honestly, people don't have a real patriotic impulse. They also don't have a really good godly one either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think so. According to CBS, so take it for what it's worth. The pay shoremen, so the former contract, I guess, the starting pay was $20 an hour, rose to 24.75 an hour, 31 something. So it tops at 39, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And they're demanding 77 increase over the next 6 years. So they asking, I guess it's like $5 per hour or something like that. So they want to make like 44, 49, up to like 69 an hour. I guess it's the 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 asking price. So I guess it's like so about 81,000 annually,
Right.
supposed to be. Um, but it also states that the 1/3 of the local shoremen made over 200,000 a year.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, those are good jobs, and I don't begrudge them making good money. I just think that at this time, would you really put your corporate interests over that of your country? It's just not the right time. What's the timing of this? You wonder, are they doing this to help one side or the other in the election? I mean, it's really just very poorly timed.
right. No, I agree because it does feel like, what at a time when your whole um, country is reeling from this, and things from out of the country usually are cheaper, more affordable for Americans. Then what are you doing? It does seem very anti-patriotic, and I guess in a sense. I mean, I understand people have to live and feed their families, and it's harder and harder. But I mean, if you would say also if the economy wasn't so bad under a certain administration, then it would be a little bit it would be a little bit better, right? Um,
Right.
but
And
yeah, it
actually
does.
we're at a strike. I mean, they started yesterday or day before yesterday, and we don't know how it's going to go. And to me, it seems like this is one of those things where I understand and I respect our capitalism and the kind of freedoms we give corporations in this country, but then these people give lie to that. When you think about this, I mean, it will impact 36 ports across the United States, and where it's most needed right now, the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, where they got hit with a hurricane, in case they weren't paying attention.
Mhm.
And they want to ban automation, right? So they want to protect their jobs because a lot of these dock workers can be replaced by some robots, AI, and different things that are being happening in the next few years. And they want to say there's no automation. What? How can you say to a company you cannot automate, you cannot improve? That sounds crazy. In fact, what you're doing is making it more likely they will do that, because at least they know that if they have a robot working, it won't go on strike.
Right? No, yeah,
I mean, the
it's
nation's supply chain of goods is already under pressure. We're about to enter the peak shipping season for holiday goods. That's obscene. It's obscene. If you you didn't see the video, probably, Fletcher, but this man looked maniacal. As you mentioned too, he was involved with some kind of criminal investigation at some point. I think he may have been acquitted, but apparently his co-defendant was found rotting in some kind of trunk of a car. This is somebody who, yeah, he's giving me organized crime vibes. I'm not saying I'm not
with the
saying
gold chain.
Yeah, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying I would never, defame him. I don't know if he is or not. He may not be, but he's giving me vibes like that when he talks so, brashedly about what he's going to do to hurt the United States. And when you hear about what happened with this criminal case, are you going to be able to play some of this or no? It's okay if you
Well,
can't.
actually, I have the even like I think clips. So I think it was the Post who posted the Post posted. I guess this is the house. Um, so
The house?
yeah, so those are the garages of the house. That's the Bentley, the one where they found.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Um, so they have that. That's actually the funny thing because I think even Elon Musk says that he doesn't even have a house as lux as that, right?
Is this guy's house? Yeah. Must be
Right?
nice.
No,
Must be
no, yeah,
nice.
that's
And again, I don't begrudge him being wealthy. I don't begrudge him being
no,
successful,
heck
but I
no,
do begrudge him making that kind of a statement when your country is on the brink of disaster and you have people literally floating by, bodies dead, under a terrible flood that's not even getting that much attention, and you're saying, yeah, this is a great time for us to go on strike. I mean, what kind
Right.
of patriots are you? You're not. To me, that's un-American. It's un-American. It's not the time to do it. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's ever the time to do it because you guys already make a good amount of money. The more money they pay you, it's not like it's not going to be passed on to us in terms of, the goods and services that they are parlaying. Companies, that's why it's hard to make companies pay higher wages and do things of that nature, because generally what they will do is pass on that cost to their customers. That's what they do. Or they automate and they get robots to do it. So either way, it's not really the best situation. I can't even look at this guy's face.
Hey, well, at least he's got the proper, like gold chain, and he's swaggering, Like,
The thing is, as Catholics, I know that we were really into unions. I've spoken to priests or theologians, and they say, Catholics were really on board with unions because they wanted to protect the dignity of the worker and the human rights, that were being routinely treated badly and trampled upon, in the early 20th centuries and obviously before. And especially in the United States, people had, children working long hours, no breaks, no safety measures in the factories and so forth. There was a need for a union. But then you see how, in my opinion, it can be abused, because that's what this is. You're telling me you're making enough, $1 million a year, $1 million a year. He has a Bentley, and I don't know how many square foot this house is that you're showing me, Fletcher. And you want 70% increase over the next few years of your salary? Who gets that? Who gets that? And if not, you're going to, right now, when we're facing a hurricane, a terrible natural disaster, say, yeah, we're going to cripple you. We're going to cripple the United States, recognizing that the job that you have really has an impact on all of your fellow citizens. That's not what the union was for.
yeah, and you can understand at the same time, this is exactly why you want to do it at that time, because you figure you have the most leverage, right? You have the
Right.
most when everything's weak and stuff like that, which is, it's sad to see. But
None of them
yeah,
are going hungry. They all make good money.
it doesn't seem like they're going hungry. They have enough for turtleneck and chains, turtleneck and chains. So yeah, but the hurricane really is, hurting so much. So according to the current news, already 189 souls, may their souls and the dearly departed of those affected by Hurricane Helene, and all those who are still, Lord, we pray for their well-being and safety and the souls. It's horrendous. So this is, I guess it's Fox News just talking about the devastation.
Personally affected by Helene, a lifelong resident of Black Mountain, North Carolina, who's dedicated her life to teaching children, and she has never seen this level of devastation. Misty Cogbill is with us now. Misty, I'm sorry for all that you're going through. I thank you for joining us, because I think it's important for all of us to hear from somebody like you who's lived there your whole life. Maybe describe what it has been like for you in the last 48 hours, maybe 72 hours. And I can see on your face that it's hard to talk about, but let's do it together. Turn over the microphone to you.
Thank you. We've seen our friends and neighbors lose their homes. We've seen classrooms of children who no longer have their homes. We are hunting for teachers. We have 23 teachers out of our list that we haven't been able to find. I've been a teacher in Black Mountain for 25 years. I've been a resident there for 48. And we've never experienced anything like this. We don't know. School is out indefinitely, and that was where many of our families received food services. Like,
did you see that? That was insane.
No, I didn't see it. Well, describe it for us, Fletcher.
So basically, it's just somebody from their back camera, and you see the Black Mountain, North Carolina. From I believe is the rear camera of the vehicle, and
And
it's
that was where
catching
many of our
like this huge debris field of the flood just tearing through the highway, and it's insane at full speed.
Wow.
It's just
families
it's like a
received
monster
food,
movie.
services,
Wow.
their therapy, their physical therapy, their speech therapy. It was their community. When we're talking about little children who have only experienced the pandemic and then had 1 month of normalcy to their lives, and then now this, it's just devastating.
Your in-laws are also unable to get out. Is that right?
No, my parents were at my in-laws in Charlotte, and we were able to coast down the mountain. There's no gas available, and we're picking up supplies here to take back.
Okay.
My parents, there's no road. My cousin lost her house, but they're there. They're feeding the fire department, and they're working together because you know, a community is not buildings. A community's heart is in its people, and we're all working together. And
Yeah.
as you can see, the destruction is just overwhelming. That's my church.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean
It's
she's
to see.
fortunate. She's fortunate because I mean one of the worst stories I've seen is a mom who lost her 7-year-old boy. They had gone to the top roof of their house along with their family to escape the rising waters, and they were holding on, literally holding on for dear life, holding on to debris, holding on to poles, and he got swept away. His name was Micah, so we may God bless the soul of little Micah. I'm sure he's with you right now. He screamed out, "Jesus, save me!" Before they didn't hear from him anymore. So it's really, very, really harsh, um, tragic what's happening down there. And honestly, I don't know if you heard this one, Fletcher, too. There was at least one factory of workers where the bigwigs said they had to still work. Did you hear about that one?
Oh yeah, I heard something like that, and
Yeah, and they kept asking, actually. I think it's going to be a major lawsuit because some of the workers, I think some of them may not have been documented because they did not seem to understand that these people who were their supervisors had no right to insist that they stay there working with they were near a river during a hurricane. And I guess some people may have left, but a lot of them kept asking, can we go home? Can we go home? And they said, we have to wait to get approval for you to leave, from the upper management. And they never got it. And a lot of those people, the water rose like crazy, and their cars, there's pictures of their cars just like floating. Apparently the company has responded saying, well, we gave them time to get home. No, not if their cars are floating in water. And one of the people who worked there said that, he had to use all of his strength to not get swept in the rushing waters. And he knew a couple of people who had died. It's really tragic. So this woman is having a hard time. I don't blame her. That's terrible. But at least all that, and then a woman who lost her son also lost her parents. I mean, at least
oh my
it
God.
sounds like her devastation is limited to property and the sense of security, and the sense of just being homeless all of a sudden. But she has her life, thankfully. It looks like maybe she didn't lose anyone close to her. It's just that no one's talking about it, Fletcher. It seems like you have to go to a right wing or like alternative media to hear about what's happening to these poor people in our own country. What is
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. This was I guess the plant that you were talking about in Tennessee, where people, I guess you know, there was workers that passed, and I guess they weren't allowed to go, and it just the place was totally devastated. I guess the water rushed right through, as you can see, the parts of the building, and you can see it's all crushed. I mean, and people, were hurt, and it's just I don't know what's been happening, because it does feel that the government doesn't really, it's not, it's there for things like this. We wish they
Right.
would do, stay away from us on simple things as people and families are trying to live their lives. You're there for when things like this happen, right? When things like this happen is when you guys should step up. Where's the National Guard? Where's the Army, right? It's the devastation is just incredible.
It is.
Somebody
And
took a video. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Fletch.
No, please.
I mean, and the thing is, when people have been trying to help, what I'm hearing is that they're being stopped. It took forever for
Yes.
FEMA to come there. They claim not to have any money. The offer has been that these poor people will get $750 and that's it. And when there was a man who has a helicopter, and he was literally saving people from roofs who had water rising, and they couldn't get out. In fact, he helped a couple of friends who were staying in the mountains at an Airbnb and had this happen. And they were on top of the roof, and he rescued them, took them to the airport. He helicoptered them, and he was helping people. And then FEMA stopped him and said he'd be arrested. He was interfering with their rescue efforts, but they couldn't get to where he was going. And they may not have known the terrain the way he did. So he did stop. I guess he didn't want to be arrested, and he had to end up leaving an old man in place. And who knows if they went back and got that old man. It's horrible. I mean, the fact that we care so much about people who are not American citizens, and we let American citizens go out like this, that's shameful.
It is, and it says the story that you had mentioned, because this is the South Carolina hero pilot threatened with arrest by local bureaucrats while rescuing flood victims, claims it was interfering with the operation. And we keep seeing this. I mean, there's memes out there on the Interflex, because of if you remember when Katrina happened, the Cajun Navy, as they were called, where it's just basically good old boys, rednecks, farm folks, and all kinds of people just going out there with their own boats and their ATVs and their giant trucks, helping out people. And it's shocking that you have this kind of thing happening in the world right now, in the United States, this great country of ours. As you said, the man was helping somebody out. We don't know, after he was stopped to do that, we don't know if that old man was able to be rescued. This is just crazy. You're not helping, and you're not allowing people to help that are able to help.
I mean, that's classic government.
This is worse than Katrina.
Yeah,
right?
It is worse than Katrina, I think. And this is classic government incompetence. That's kind of how it works. We're not going to help, and we're not going to let you help because of the bureaucracy and the sense of liability, I suppose. But I think the people who are being rescued wouldn't care about that. They just want to be rescued and get out of there and get help. And I also think that a lot of people had no idea how far this storm would go, or how bad it would be, or didn't have time to get away. So it's really quite shocking for some of them. And of course, with the down communications, it's hard for them to even communicate with people. I don't think that he got any kind of calls or anything to go and help people. He's there with his son, by the way. People are watching the picture we have up here. That's on the left is the pilot, and then his young son he was using to take with him to rescue people. And in fact, the person who was the FEMA rep who was telling him he would be arrested, I guess they're law enforcement too, had told him he couldn't even go back to get his son. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go back and get my son, because he left his son. He left his son with the old man. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, that's not happening. At least I'm glad he went and got his son, but he had to leave the guy there. So
this is insane. You're basically saying that you can't rescue someone. You know,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
basically said you can't rescue somebody.
Limited cell service and no water since Friday morning. I thought I have a helicopter and maybe I can help.
Jordan Sidham piled food and water into his helicopter Saturday and headed up toward Banner Elk, the only way through a mountain gap in Lake Lure.
This is the mountain valley that you would have to fly to get to Black Mountain, where we were escorting people out. This is a mountain range, and this is a mountain range. The only place to fly through with bad visibility, low cloud coverage, is Lake Lure.
The cries for help from people stranded without food, water, or electricity hit social media soon after the flooding last Friday.
But my parents are stuck there. Their address is Banner Elk. They are in the first condo. If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
Sidham's phone started lighting up on Saturday with people begging for help.
I mean, I could hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received.
So this is people so fed up with the government. They're not calling the sheriffs. They're not calling the emergency service. They're not calling the firefighters. They're calling this citizen who was gracious enough to basically said, "Here I am, Lord, use me," and helping people out. What the heck is this? What did you even send me, Ursula? This is the most depressing video so far, because this man is trying to actually do something to help people. And I can already see like quarterbacks out there, the armchair quarterback. Oh, he's not trained. Guess what? This is a disaster. That's somebody who's never been a disaster. If you haven't been in a disaster, guess what? Everybody's not trained. It's a disaster. Disaster. Yes, there are some people who are highly trained. Those are few and far between. Everybody needs to help, because somebody helping could mean life or death. Oh my gosh, you messed me up with this one. This is so sad. The woman is calling him.
I'm glad. I didn't know that people were calling him. Honestly, I thought he was just trawling about and seeing people. So I'm glad to know that people reached out to him. I think it's like very indicative of government, where it's like, you know what, we don't want you to help yourself, and we can't help you either. We don't want you to be independent of us, but then we also can't provide for all your needs either. It's like kind of communist, actually, or I should say kind of hammer and sickle. We won't say the word
hammer and sickle, but this is a hammer and sickle crowd, because this man now is tortured, because now this man who's able to help, who wants to help, who's in his core wants to help his fellow Americans, he is now forced by the stupid government, the federal government, because FEMA is federal. Before everybody says, hey, local government bumpkin, this is federal government. FEMA is federal. The federal government, meaning the administration that's in power right now, that's Harris, Biden. All right? Those people in government right now that are not helping these people that are stuck in this roof, right? This man now has to hear a message saying, please help me if you can, and he can't do nothing. Tell me that's not a torture in itself.
Yeah, that's awful. It's awful. And it just shows, because, in a well-functioning society, Fletcher, the government would consider fellow citizens as its collaborators, not as its serfs. It would see government would see itself as, you know what, let me help you help yourself. Let me work alongside you. You're the local help. Like you said, it's a disaster. We're going to throw out training for a minute. Obviously, there's already ways to get around this. It's something called the Good Samaritan law, which basically says if someone is not acting maliciously and they try to come to someone's aid, that they're not going to be held liable. So, you know what, let's have even more, strong ones. So let the government say, you know what, we deputize you. You are now, right now, take this star. You are one of us. Let's go help some people get off their roofs. Let's get them out of the water. Let's rescue them from cars. Let's get some kids from drowning. Let's go do this. It's opposed to, okay, bureaucracy wins the day. You sit here and let us, do nothing. But I think it's even more nefarious than that, Fletcher, because some people say they don't want to do that because if they don't, if they don't do everything, they don't get paid as much or something. I think someone was explaining that what FEMA was doing was even now was making camps, and that there's some kickbacks that people get for doing that. So having, citizens interfere definitely also thwarts their financial profit, which is very disgusting if it's true, but I wouldn't put it past it.
No, it's always the money. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
it's always
It's
follow
just
the money.
crazy. Follow the money, and it's my gosh, I can't.
I
I
mean,
can't. I can't.
what's amazing too with this guy, God bless him, is that, helicopter fuel ain't cheap. And he's also putting himself in danger. Helicopters have a high risk of
Yeah,
problems. You got to
especially
really know
weather
the
and
way,
mountain range.
weather, mountain ranges. There's obviously a hurricane, and the aftermath of that. He's basically, putting himself at risk to help other people. That's what should be applauded, and not told, okay, stop, or you're going to get arrested. That's crazy. That's insane.
I mean,
That,
back
that,
in the
that's
days, didn't they give
wrong.
what?
That's just wrong.
Yes, I agree. But didn't back in the days they give this man a medal? Now they're probably giving him
Yeah.
like a citation. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just keeps going. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
This was just Catholic Vote just posted this, and I guess is this fella who's the Secretary of Transportation. Um, and he urges Americans affected by Hurricane Helene to stop using drones and instead rely on the limited emergency responders available as the federal government refuses to provide additional assistance. So basically, it's like there's no assistance, there's no help. But hey, if you guys use drones basically to help, find people that need help,
Stop doing that.
because, imagine you don't want to put yourself in danger, but you risking yourself becoming, in need of emergency services and therefore depriving of somebody who might actually need it. You decide, hey, I'm going to use a drone to look for people. I don't put myself in danger. But now it's telling you, don't be using anything to help people.
Isn't that
Our goal is
insane?
to make sure that funding is no obstacle
just crazy.
to very quickly getting people the relief that they need and deserve. There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity that might be involved in helping to allow those emergency responders to do their job. Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle to very quickly getting people the relief that they need.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, the help, it's just crazy. It's just a
I
crazy.
mean, the
But
thing is, Fletcher, here's the thing. It's classic. I mean, is what we've been saying. Government wants to erode your sense of self-responsibility or for your fellow citizen to help or do things, promising that they'll be your daddy, they'll do it for you, and then they don't do it, and they don't seem to care. And this guy, his whole intellect is darkened. I mean, just look at him. I like the picture you stopped here because you can just see this is not a real human being. He is, very flawed as a person, and for many reasons. And he's not there to help. That's simple as that.
it's just crazy. I mean, I'm so glad that people are defying this kind of thing. I mean, you have citizens like Elon Musk that, people are like, oh, rich, whatever, but he's out there. He's right now, I think Robbie Starbucks was another one who basically went to Home Depot, got a bunch of Starlinks, which is the system of internet where you can just give people the password and on social media, whatever, or let people know, and they're gonna be able to have phone service through the internet. But also Elon also said that he's already enabled free Starlink for all the communities affected by the hurricane.
That's
Um,
fantastic. That's great.
and he has to say, like, I know I will be accused of being political, but I'm just trying to help. It's like people are just basically had it. It's so they know nobody's gonna do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I guess one thing this has highlighted is that for everyone listening, I guess we do have to be very mindful that you're on your own. The government is really not there. I mean, one of the things that government's supposed to be good about is, like you said, Fletcher, those things that we have trouble with, like mobilizing in a disaster. But if they're not going to do that, then what are they good for? And everyone listening, you know what? Make sure you take care of yourself. I mean, sometimes we do forget that. We think, well, the government will be there when you need it. They'll take care of us. Don't worry. But you can see now with the poor people down there, they now know better. So I'm really sad for them. I pray that our listeners would say a prayer um, for those suffering through this disaster, especially those who have lost loved ones, because you can replace hopefully any items that are taken that were lost to the storm, but the human life is irreplaceable. So we pray that they would have peace and that those souls would rest in peace also.
I know. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I don't know if you saw that. It was somebody took a video of a family that was trapped, and it's just crazy to look at because you just open. They're going through the house, and
Wow,
they're
that's
inside
insane.
the house.
That's sad. Look at that.
Just kind of waiting. It's where you're gonna go.
It's full of water. Wow. They're just like literally submerged in water.
Literally submerged.
Wow. And the dog too, he's like on top of a table. It's submerged in water. I've never seen anything like that.
Getting out of here because this is going to be.
I mean, they don't have power. Look at that. I mean, everything's underwater. I remember.
I think they don't have power on that one because if they have power, yeah,
they'd be electrocuted. I read something that some of these Zoomers who don't get life, one of them said, I don't believe the devastation people are talking about because if it were so, why didn't we see video of it? Hello. Not everyone's going to have power. They want to use their little bit of cell phone battery if they haven't left, if it's even in their hands. They're literally in water. Their body's submerged in water. You're thinking, oh, they should be taking video. I mean, it just so happens we have this one, but not everyone's going to be in that position.
Right. And not everybody's stupid enough to think, oh, look, the water's rising. What will be really good is to catch this on video. Or maybe you're just running for your life.
Maybe right?
Maybe you're trying to grab your family or something like that. Your children, instead of grabbing your phone and say, I should record this. I should take a selfie with the disaster. But I don't know. Somebody was at least taking a selfie with the disaster. It looked like our vice president was out there letting people know that don't worry, So I don't know.
She finally showed up, I guess.
That we have been providing.
Yeah, right. She was in the air a little long with her unplugged phone and her papers with nothing written on them.
I remember seeing that picture, and Trump, did call her out for that.
Oh yeah.
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food.
So you saw that the family that was under the water,
right?
You give them $750,
right?
What are they going to do?
They can't do anything with that.
You can't even. I mean, can you imagine at the hotels? There's no hotels right now.
And if they did, they'd have to get to them. They'd have to have some transportation to get there. They have to pay for that. They have to. There's nothing. That's nothing. And when you consider, we literally have given billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. We give millions of dollars to immigrants who come here illegally. And I understand from people who are on the ground, they literally are getting thousands of dollars. These people who have broken laws to come into the country and are sometimes brought in the middle of the night, not spoken about, but some say that they're privy to this, and we see the evidence of it, right? And you can't give people who are American citizens in a disaster relief more than what, $750?
No, it's
$1 billion for Ukraine, $750 for you.
So it's 18 billions. Wasn't the last thing like 18 billion?
And they're supposed to be, these are American citizens. But you know what? I think everyone said, look how poorly, they treated the people during Katrina. This is the same. You're treating these people poorly. You're acting like they're some kind of pariah, maybe because they're from a red state. I don't know.
That, some people were saying that's the nefarious thing. The nefarious thing is that maybe they're just, leaving people to just perish, because it's a state that they're not going to get that many votes for.
Must be.
And if that's the truth, that's that. They do need to really get themselves right, because that's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And honestly, I think it took Kamala a little too long to get down there. I mean, former President Trump got down there sooner. I think he may have gone first to Georgia. And I think, when President Biden was questioned about his response, he said, well, I've been on the phone for hours. It's like, dude, you don't get on the phone when somebody in your country, they're literally dying. I don't know what the last count was. It's not going to be clear. A lot of people are still missing. My understanding is there's hundreds of people who have been unaccounted for. They could be fine because, again, cell phone service is down. Yeah. Or they could be, they could have been deceased because of what happened. You get down out of your ivory tower or whatever and go to the scene. That's what a true leader does. And it took Kamala way too long to do that. I think it definitely weakened her image to people. I think people are starting to see, some of them are starting to see, do you really feel you can trust her? I think she should have been down there right away. Honestly, right away. You're the current, you have more reason to be there than Trump, because Trump is just a presidential candidate and a former president. You are literally the sitting president in a sense, because we all know that Biden is not capable of going forward. That's why he basically resigned from running for office. So you are the vice president. You have to stand in. She should have been there immediately. Why wasn't she there?
I don't know, but I know that Trump was there, like you were mentioning. People were saying that
she's campaigning.
I mean, that's Trump with families and with people on the ground. I mean,
if you're going to be cynical, people will say, oh, he's doing that just for votes. But you know what? Character counts. And I don't care, Kamala, if you don't think you're going to get votes, you go down there. You just do the right thing.
Yeah, and if you're saying you're doing it for a picture op or something, this was, I think, she was caught doing the little picture ops also.
That's such a weird video. I don't know what to make of it. It's just weird. I don't know what's happening.
It's like she's like, okay, this is this stuff. It's like, okay, now it's like whatever. She's like, she doesn't even look at the people, it seems,
That's what I got from it. That's what I got. I guess that's the part that feels weird. I mean, come on, everybody. Look at how she just walks past these people. I know that they might be props to some extent because they don't look like they've been suffering through the hurricane. Their clothes are really neat and clean. They weren't like that family that was literally their bodies submerged in water. Or maybe they did and they came out of it and they got, gussied up for the camera, or maybe that's what, it was demanded. But how do you walk past people? How do you walk past people without, you're in the South, you always give a head nod, a hello, how you doing? How do you just walk past them without acknowledging them? Obviously they're standing there because they want to see you.
I guess that maybe she had already did the photo op and this is kind of like the after.
I don't like her attitude walking past them. I don't like it, honestly. I don't like the way she's not.
It's like,
To
you know,
me,
there's not even a glance at like, hey, thank you
even a
so much
glance,
for,
acknowledgement, exactly.
yeah.
Like, hey, nice to see you again. I probably won't
Yeah,
come back
or
this way.
like,
Or
hey,
I'll
thank
see you
you
when
for
I
doing
come
my
back.
photo shoot.
Yeah, thank you again. Or not, I come back this way when I on the way out or something. Like, like a human being would.
Yeah, catch you on the flippity flip, you know? That's
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I
like,
think.
oh, look at this. Oh, how come
it's,
getting
it's,
my boots dirty here?
it's messed up, man. I don't like it.
I don't,
I've been trying to, keep hope alive for her. I've been trying to
yeah,
be fair about her, but I think that was definitely something that made it hard for me to respect her choices. I think you should be there right away. A lot of Black people, a lot of people of color are down in the southern states. Okay, it's not just right wing, white voters that she probably thinks. It's all kinds of people, and even right wing voters deserve compassion and respect. And maybe they won't vote for you, but doesn't mean they don't deserve. You are their vice president right now. You're vice president of all the people.
yeah, and not just,
And sometimes, if otherwise,
you want.
don't go into public service then, because you know what? It is a thankless task to some extent, right? Some of the jobs you're going to have to do are not glamorous. Sometimes, you can't wear your $100,000, necklace and, be able to go somewhere. Sometimes you have to do the dirty work just to get through, but that's kind of what you signed up for. That's the job.
That's the job, yeah. It's not just glamour in life, you know?
Yeah, it's not right. It's not right. I really, I mean, I really hope that these people can, our fellow citizens in the states affected by this really bad hurricane can recover quickly. I'm really sad. I pray that there be, because what they need too, Fletcher, is going to be a lot of mental health care. I mean, this is traumatic. Look, I almost
It's so
feel
traumatic.
traumatized hearing about some of this stuff and watching the videos that you've shown. It's a little bit wow, like that. The water, that's stuff of nightmares. They're literally in their house with the water almost, to their chest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like definitely above their waist in water. Wow. I'm surprised. I think it was dangerous for them to stay as long as
That
they
you're
did.
able to.
Yeah.
What?
I think it was dangerous to even take the video. I think they should have just been out of there. I mean, one more wave, they would be underwater.
It's just, yeah, it's just insane. We pray for our brothers and sisters in this area that would have been affected. I mean, everyone that's affected. We're definitely gonna need to make sure that people, get the help they need, because it's, even like we put up a short, if you guys check it out, in our shorts versions of, Biden basically saying, hey, we're gonna need more from the American people. And it's sad because the American people actually need from you. This is the point where you actually are supposed to help, bro. But
what? That's
I don't know.
crazy talk. What are you talking about?
I know
What?
that's crazy. But it's speaking of like the government not here to help you and making all kinds of decisions. Did you know that Mexico has elected its first female president? And it's interesting because she's also the first non-Catholic, non-Christian in a 80 plus% Catholic nation, which it
So
was
what
a
happened
little bit of.
here? What
So what
happened?
happened is that this was supposed to be a kind of like passing of the torch, supposedly, because the party of the current president took the lead in the elections, and kind of, people say, handed it off to this lady. And also our Catholic brother Verastegui, he was trying to gather up the Catholic vote, and they basically were crushing his opposition of it. But he's still not over. He's going to keep fighting for Catholics in Mexico, and this is part of the Oh, if you guys don't know, the Zócalo is basically the national gathering place, is like a plaza in Mexico City, and they do like a ceremony to inaugurate. It's basically like in the United States, you have the president comes out in Washington D.C. and they do the swearing in and stuff. The current president, who is very hammer and sickle.
We'll
She's very of the hammer and sickle
call it
crowd,
that. We'll call it that.
right? We'll call it, yeah. Very hammer and sickle crowd. She's part of the elder descendants. She's part of the
elder brothers in the faith.
Elder brothers in the faith, the atheists and the
atheistic type,
yeah,
with the hammer and sickle in hand.
Right, and also the one from the Rainbow Colored Mafia.
Wow,
they're a huge supporter of the Rainbow Colored Mafia, and it's also one of these, what should we call it? It's friends of how it was like friends of the blacks and friends of the blacks, Latinos, and indigenous. She's an ally to us. We need her, because without her, keeping things at bay, who knows where would be, right? She has to protect us, the inferior species, the higher species. I don't know. Don't get me started.
But this is
let's not get started. In English, it reads witchcraft, paganism, satanic rituals. They only forgot to include human sacrifice and cannibalism to create the full picture. It's a little bit tongue in cheek. Our father, Padre Javier Olivera Revasi of Argentina, says, no, Pablo, they're just vegans, as a jest to this, because it's really unfortunate that a Catholic nation as Mexico is, has some kind of, they say holy indigenous ceremony. And if done, nobody's saying that, hey, when the Pope came to Mexico, they did, indigenous communities blessed the Pope, or, showed their support and all this kind of stuff. There's an indigenous culture. This is government sanctioned, government approved, government display of power, in a sense, trying to, in a sense, saying, hey, I know you Catholics has been in power, but what we're going to do is something different here. And it's really unfortunate. So,
invocamos a los nahuales,
so they're invoking
y a los demás seres y espíritu divino que habita este lugar.
They're calling on the spirits that come in this place, and this is the president now. This is the official president right now of Mexico, and they're doing this. There's a big cathedral right in the back that people died to be able to put it up. So the slaps in the face are just,
Iluminación y sabiduría para la presidenta constitucional, doctora Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo.
Of course, you have to give all the titles. This is all the titles. Yeah, I think you're. Oh, sorry, Ursula. You're. No. Sorry, you were off the stage for a second.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, Verizon.
But listen, here's the thing that we got to stop and mention this. For those who heard this person speaking, they said presidenta. For those of our listeners who don't speak Spanish, you should know that the word for president is presidente. Okay, presidente with an E at the end. That's how it's pronounced. It's presidente. but she has called herself presidenta, like making it like a letter A, which is a different word than existed before, because there is no presidenta, there's presidente, which you can use for men or women. But she wants to make it specific to women by adding an A to the end and like basically changing the language. It's kind of the same thing with Latinx and all these things. It's like we're going to create a new language that, but this one not to make it neutral, but the opposite, to make it like she's the female president. So she has to have a whole new word. It's so hammer sickle. They always make up language, and they're always abolishing language that that you're cut the bourgeoisies.
No, it is. It's funny because they claim to be against the bourgeoisies while literally becoming the bourgeoisies themselves, which is insane. I mean, you have here, she wants to change the language. Of course, she has to have a female National Guard behind her, the carriers of the flag and stuff. So it's like, not only am I in power, you peasants, the look. I mean, this is the look. Look at the face. Look at the face.
Both of them look scary. No podemos, presidenta.
It's like, you peasants, I am going to change your language. I'm going to change everything that disgusting things, it's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I just think that's kind of bizarre. I mean, you have to be kind of a bit of a narcissist to think that just because you became president and you're the first female president, that the word that means president needs to be changed to accommodate not just an A at the end to make it sound more female when it's the neutral word that can go for male or female. Presidente is not like one of those words that, it's inherently male or female, right? There's some words that might be like that. I mean, it's el presidente. That's true. It's a male, pronoun that goes with it, but it's not one that is gender specific. You can use it for either, I think. I don't know. You tell me, Fletcher, if that's not true.
Yeah.
But then you have a capital A, not just an A. It's just, he didn't just change it to female, the word. She also says it has a capital A, which is like not how we do. That's not how we write words. That's not how we transcribe them, right? It's lowercase a at the end of a sentence, at the end of a word, but it's going to be president, capital A. That's madness. Little kids have to learn this in school.
Yeah, I guess now maybe that's maybe what the supreme ruler is gonna want now.
Supreme ruler
is, yeah, the supreme ruler. I mean, pobres mexicanitos, hermanos y hermanas. I don't know. This is the level of just, it does fit with the hammer and sickle crowd that feel that they have to superimpose on their culture because they're righting a wrong that wasn't there before. It's kind of like okay, I'm gonna see wrongs that were committed, but then I'm gonna create a wrong to smash that wrong. I don't.
Well, I think the most disturbing is that she decided that the right way to inaugurate her, historic presidency was with some invocation of Aztec ritual, which was really anti-woman. I don't know if she's aware of that. Anti-woman, anti-children. It's a Catholic country, it's a Christian country, as you pointed out, but she chose an Aztec ritual. She didn't even choose one of the faith that I assume she's been raised in, the elder brothers in the faith. We can't say the word here. But she didn't choose that. Instead, she chose some kind of pagan ritual that honestly people don't realize it was the church that took people out of that. But
no, don't worry. It was done. It was done with all female, I don't know, priestesses or something, because those were were male priests back in the day, but now
Oh, I
that's
see.
even changed. So
That made it
I don't know
better, I
what they
guess.
did. So it's like I don't know this. I guess this is gonna have to break down. So I don't know, brothers and sisters who are in the rest, any rest right now. If you can help us out, if you recognize what that was, because
Was
all the
it
time I
was it a
spent
Native
in
American ritual? I thought it was an Aztec ritual. Which one? What was it?
from my understanding, there's a lot of different of the native cultures, because it's not just, I mean, there's hundreds of different tribes in Mexico, um, but from my understanding, in that region, the majority of the priests were male. So I don't know if she gathered different people from different native tribes, but it it did look like it was mostly female um, priestesses, or however the terminology. But that's
I mean, the thing is, here's like the stupidity of people. This is a perfectly good way if you wanted to have some kind of non-secular, kind of religious ceremony to legitimize your coming into power, and you really just wanted some kind of religious ceremony because if you feel like that is just the right kind of ceremonial coda to your wonderful historic achievement, why not have a mass? I mean, that's the most common thing in the country, and you don't have to be Catholic to attend one. Here in the United States, we have the Red Mass that is attended by typically all of the Supreme Court justices. They go one day to Mass. It's called the Red Mass because it's to invoke the Holy Spirit on their making decisions for the year. And the Supreme Court, as you know, they come into session once a year, like in October. They probably are doing it now. And this would be usually like the first week after or a week before or what have you, organized with the church. And the people who come, the Supreme Court justices, are not all Catholic. They've been doing this for years. And some of them are Jewish or of our elder brothers in faith. Some may be Protestant. Some may have no faith whatsoever. But as it's been a tradition to go and allow the priest to kind of acknowledge this is the great work you're doing. We in the community acknowledge it. We pray for you to have the Holy Spirit, which is what the color red symbolized by. And so forth. She could do that. She's in an even more Catholic Christian country than the United States. Why does she feel the need to dust off some tradition that she has no knowledge of and more than likely has never practiced, knows no one in, and as you pointed out, Fletcher, already is subverting it, kind of blaspheming their culture, right? They're religious because they don't have women doing those roles with what she's doing, and which honestly may be extremely inconsistent with the values of the people because, as my understanding, Aztecs used to do human sacrifices. So
yes,
why is she
common.
why right? So why the heck are you using that?
Obviously she's saying the taste of things to come, peasants. Taste of things to come. But it's funny because you were saying that like our leaders, follow the tradition. It reminded me of this. We were gonna cover this last week, but we didn't get a chance to. But Harris said she was gonna skip the All Smith dinner in New York before the election. If you guys don't know, it's a historic dinner. It's hundreds of years where both sides come and kind of roast each other. It's a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. People might remember it from when Hillary and Trump assisted there together with Cardinal Timothy Dolan was there. And it's basically, they have prayer, they have dinner, they have a little tongue in cheek, and my understanding is she's gonna break something that's been together since the '60s, I believe. So it's
And so I guess what I would say, thank you for raising this story, Fletcher. I think it's one that probably has been overlooked by the media because it does involve, Catholics, and sometimes we're overlooked. But I think it's interesting about her choosing to skip it. I have some thoughts about why she may have skipped it. I guess the first thing is, why did she skip it? Now, some have said because, she really doesn't care that much about Catholics. Apparently, she had a real problem with people belonging to the Knights of Columbus, that she has questioned people's loyalty to America if men belong to that Catholic organization, which is a philanthropic organization, a charitable one started by a priest to help Catholic immigrants. And I believe the 19th century, and it just has continued. They do just a lot of great work, usually in the community, helping people, helping, children, the poor. They give money, they do things like that nature. It's a charitable organization. There's a women's auxiliary part of it, but it's primarily for Catholic men. And she apparently hates it. And she has made comments that sound like she feels like, to have a true faith in Catholicism is to be somewhat anti-American, something we've heard before, and I think is dangerous. So if that's the reason she skipped, then I really don't respect the decision. Now, if she skipped because of the roasting part, now I don't blame her for that. I would not want to go to a dinner where I get roasted, but then that is the tradition. No one skipped for decades, and it's really supposed to be light ribbing. I think even Hillary Clinton went to it.
Yeah, no. If you see like the thing, it's just it was in 2016. You had Hillary Clinton and Trump doing light ribbing at each other. It was quite fun, and it's all done in this kind of gala setting. Nobody's setting anybody ablaze or something like that. It's not a Chappelle show skit. You're not. It's not gonna be like, oh, throwing the smackdown. Nobody drops the mics and walk away. It's literally a formal dinner. As you can see, everybody's wearing extremely formal tuxedos, and come on. She's the most anti-Catholic.
She's not good on her feet, though. That's true. She's anti-Catholic. That could be why she skipped
it. And she shouldn't run.
Yeah, she's not good on her feet, and I think she probably would feel, maybe a certain kind of anxiety if she's not able to kind of bounce back with some of the probably ad-libbed quips and things that people might say at those kinds of things. Things she's not that good on her feet. We see that with her co running mate too, with Walt. He's not great on his feet.
Well,
so
because those are the kind of people we need to run a country, because gosh knows that, hey, if we have problems with foreign terrorist group or even a country trying to attack us, that's what we need. We need somebody who's not steady on their feet, or might be shy away from insults. I mean, are our enemies gonna be like, oh, just call her a name and then she won't bomb you?
Right? Yeah, exactly. That could be. I think it was a bad look. I mean, she definitely doesn't need it. It's not like it's required. It's not like if you go to that, you're definitely going to get certain votes. It's more like a tradition. It shows that she's not keen on the traditions, which,
But that's the thing. She's there to remove traditions. She's there to basically say, this is not something that I'm going to respect. So if she doesn't respect the Catholics to even go and have dinner with them, then she doesn't respect your Catholic vote. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want your Catholic vote.
Yeah, that could be.
And I'm gonna. You're very
go with that.
You're very light on
that could
on
be.
this lady. It's
I'm not light on her. I'm not light on her.
I don't know. I don't know, Ursula. Just because she looks like our auntie doesn't mean she could go light on her.
I don't think. Listen, I mean, I think there's a lot to condemn in terms of her record, in terms of what she stands for. I just thought if we could be charitable in some area. I know people don't respect that, but as a Catholic, I try to be charitable where I can. And I'm not sure the reason she didn't go to the dinner. So that's why I was just withholding. There's a lot of other things.
The fact that she doesn't go to the dinner where everybody else has gone to the dinner for generations, and it's like kind of like a staple thing now, where it's like it's become part of the culture and part of the society, and it's one of those things where, hey, you don't do X, then I don't know what to tell you. Then I do feel that this is a slap in the face. But I think the biggest slap in the face is that Diddy now is getting more ridiculousness. So did you hear about this? So I guess more charges are coming along
Yeah, I
for
did hear about this. I did hear about
this is
this.
crazy. So this is just recent.
When you talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old.
That's just crazy.
We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
I mean, it just crazy. But this kind of got brought up because I guess somebody found that Denzel Washington stormed out of one of Sean Diddy Combs' parties screaming, "You don't respect anyone."
Oh, wow.
So this a lot of this white party nonsense is coming out more. Denzel Washington had fighting words with Sean Diddy Combs, one of the disgraced rapper parties back in the early. According to the new report, the Oscar-winning actor screamed at Combs before he stormed out of the all-night party the Music Mongol hosted in 2003. An unnamed source told the U.S. Weekly. The outlet describes the insider, someone who's friendly with Diddy. In the early 2000s, Denzel screamed, "You don't respect anyone," sources claim, and then stormed out. Denzel and his wife, Pauletta, had been playing until dawn with Diddy, and they hadn't seen something and stormed out. So these parties, I guess, went on. And from my understanding, is the sensible people were there like earlier on, people that have families, good God-fearing people, kind of like Denzel. I think they would be staggered in, like they would come in and like when everything looks like a regular decent party. And then it starts getting a little bit wild, and those kind of people usually by then, kind of get, leave by themselves. You have families, you have things to do,
Right.
Denzel Washington, I guarantee you, is not going to all night parties. Probably, I can safely say our uncle is not doing that. He's about his business and his craft and his family. So I don't see him in there all night. So I don't know if this was kind of like the real parties didn't started a little too early, or something happened.
And just to be clear, he's not our actual uncle. Well, that is how we refer to people that we respect from our cultures.
How do you know? You don't know that.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. I
He
just
could
kind of
be.
feel like it just.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and more of these accusations are just coming out that are kind of crazy on this.
Yeah, and the thing is, I had no idea the white party was so fraught with potential criminal activity. I always thought they seemed like really fun parties. I think that Denzel, certainly, I can't imagine that he'd be involved with something nefarious or, depraved, such as, contact with underage kids in an improper way. I can't believe that. So I think some people did go to the parties not realizing or not being aware of the seedy underbelly. I saw a video, Fletcher, where there's a point in the party. I don't know if it's available widely, but I saw one recently on one of the news shows or whatever. Maybe it was an alternative news, but it had a video, and it had, Sean Combs on a balcony wearing all white with everybody there. And then you could hear the music. And he said, okay, this is the time of the night and the party where you need to get all the kids out. He says, because you kids, you got like a little bit more time before we're about to do something. You don't want to be part of that. And you may not even want to do this when you're an adult. Something very strange, a very strange comment. And people were laughing and so forth. But I mean, it sounded serious on his part. And it makes you wonder what was going on. Obviously, I thought the parties were just up on the up and up, but perhaps they had a moment in the party where it was switch.
Yeah, and that's what I believe because, like I said, somebody like Denzel Washington is not. He's a God-fearing man. He is not hanging out with any of that nonsense. As soon as nonsense or shenanigans, as our uncles kind of call it, when you're up to shenanigans, that's when things go. It's like I got to get out of here. So I do believe that maybe the shenanigans started earlier than they should because, like I said, I think all the upstanding folks came like early, and like all upstanding folks, they're not there all night, and then just kind of meander out, and then at a certain time, people are known. Hey, now it's the real whatever it is that happens in this. And from what we hear, horrible things happen. So I think that's what kind of went on. I think that it could have been, if that source is reliable, that I think that the festivities that really people were there for in Nefarious were starting a little too early, and Uncle Washington decided that no, that's not happening. But it seems like JC now is also on the chopping block a little bit. And one of the frequencer attendants, JC and Beyonce, are of this of those parties. So I guess this is the lady that says that this is was going on, and she was on Piers Morgan to talk about it. Let's see if I have the audio on it, and let's see.
Well, because the Me Too movement was a ruse. It was a setup. It was a scam. I'm saying that now, publicly. Dream Hampton spearheaded the Surviving R. Kelly campaign, which fueled the Me Too campaign. And that was all funded by Sean Carter to make sure that Robert Kelly went to jail. Get his lick back. Why is nobody understanding that Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter? They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing to see what's right there. If the Me Too movement were real, why aren't they speaking now? They've also been very quiet in this time of the diddler's downfall.
Jaguar,
Guess they on vacation.
If this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think that the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
Wow.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself.
That's insane. That's insane.
She's not the only one. I mean, I watched Candace Owens the other day, who had a short video of a Black man who was involved in the rap industry that I guess a lot of people thought was somewhat, eccentric, who apparently for years has been saying something about Combs. And people just kind of blew it off. And he was like, let me tell you. But now he's vindicated. He's been saying this for a long time.
Wow. No, it's just crazy. I know that, this was also something that was mentioned. I think that it could be that other people were involved now because according to kind of like a slip of the tongue of there's allegations that Obama and Michelle Obama were attending some of these, because after when the white party, I guess, ended, they went all night supposedly, or all day, all night, or who knows. But so-called freak-offs, which is the X-rated, nonsense, I guess, happened. And some people are saying that they were present for some of that. This is, I guess, Chrissy Teigen, who's the wife of Legend, and they were talking, I guess, in an extra interview or something like that.
Read it and answer.
Public place, you did it.
Is this the best or the worst? What do you do?
The best.
Okay, the best. Probably the Obama thing.
John, what's the? Oh God.
Oh God.
John,
What?
what is your wife talking about?
I don't know.
We heard
We're not-
in there.
Chrissy, get back here. What happened?
We're not going to discuss
We're
that.
not going to discuss it.
We're not. We're not.
Oh my God. Secret Service. Come here, jump back in.
Hi.
Look at John. Look at
Hi.
We're not talking about it. That's the truth.
That is an awesome answer.
Not the White House.
It
was not at the White House. That is
100%
correct.
not the White House.
He was not elected yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Anyway.
What are they talking about, Fleck?
Okay, so
Please break that down for us.
Okay, so I guess they're doing kind of these things. Extra is a like a paparazzo type of show with celebrities, and they are doing these things where they hand them questions, embarrassing questions, or silly questions to the people because make it more exciting or try to get them to divulge things that they might not otherwise divulge. And in this one, they handed John Legend's wife, Christine, or whatever her name, and saying, "Where have you had sexual relations that were, like, I guess, shocking or whatever, right?" And she mentioned with the Obamas, and they were like, "Well, not in the White House," like, so she's mentioning that they had some kind of relationship or tryst, both of them together with the Obamas.
Remember,
right?
it's a family show.
Yeah, that's what I'm using my words carefully.
Okay.
And what people are kind of saying, I guess, that at the time, it was around the time of when they met the Diddy's party. So would have been like the freak off time, and on top there's pictures of Diddy and former President Obama, but it also on that other lady when she was talking Jaguar, when she says Sean Carter, that's Puff Diddy's name, so that's why.
I thought it was Sean Combs. Sean Combs.
It was Sean Carter. Isn't it Sean Carter Combs, right?
No, I think it's Sean Combs. I think isn't Carter Jay-Z?
Jay-Z, that's what it is.
I think so. I think his last name is Carter.
It's Jay-Z, sorry,
he's
my
Sean
bad.
Carter. Yeah, he's Sean Carter.
Sean Carter.
He's Sean Combs. Yeah. But they go by these
yeah,
aliases, so it's hard to keep up.
Right. I was like, yeah, this one looks like it's a little bit out there, so
I don't know. I mean, listen, here's the thing. I guess the truth will out. Will people believe it, or will they hide some of it? Because, sometimes these things are done for blackmail purposes, and they may want to keep that leverage against certain high profile people. So, I mean, I wouldn't, those of you who are waiting to see like who's on the list and what happened, I don't know if you'll get a full story. You might get low-lying people. Some people, it might come out, it might shock you. I don't know. But like we said, I don't know that Michelle and Barack actually went there to really get their freak on. They may just gone to a party. I know, like we said, Denzel went to those parties. We don't think he did anything nefarious. I know Johnny Cochran, when he was alive, went to one of them. It's how he met him to represent Puff Daddy. But I don't think he did anything nefarious. But I think, and I'm sure there's others, like I said, he has this had a point in the party where things would then take a turn for the worse. That's the time to head for the door. If you go at all, knowing this, I wouldn't go at all. But if people didn't know, or if you did go anyway, you want to head out at that time. Anytime if I'm at a party and they say this is the time the kids have to go, if they were invited before, I think that's when I would go too. Because what's happening?
What's happening?
Yeah. That's the time to leave the party.
That's the time to leave the party.
Just leave that party. You're not missing anything. Go home and put your feet off. Watch Housewives. Eat some ice cream. Have some popcorn. Have a glass of wine. You don't have to be at no party where like it's now time for the kids to leave the party. No, that's time for me to leave the party too. That's
Well,
time
that
for me
I
to leave
guess,
the party.
and I think that's what Theo Lancel was. You know, he was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, what you doing in here? I don't know, but there's a rebranding going on, and I know you didn't see this. I think I'm going to shock you with this one.
Uh-oh.
So the our faithful Central Intelligence Agency
Oh
has.
no! Can we even be talking about this? Are you crazy? Let's call it something else.
They're just this is all right. So this
Call
is
it
just
something
like
else.
they're
Just say
redesigning.
one of the alphabet agencies you can say is redesigning. Do not say
Alphabet
their
is
name. Are you serious?
redesigning their logo.
No. This is like, don't say the certain name in the mirror. Like, don't be crazy. Don't say that.
I will not say it 3 times. So if you know, remember this was their previous logo. You got the eagle. You have the letters on top, and then the bottom, of United States of America, right? That's the old one. And this is a closer look again. They had the stuff, United States of America in the bottom, all this kind of stuff. So there's a fresh new look. So say we're a nation of first line defense. So there's going to be a graphics note, and yes, this is the new logo that they're using. Do you notice something is missing from the logo?
The American flag.
And
why don't you tell us?
Yeah. So the words United States of America is not on it either.
Oh, well, that goes along with not having the flag.
Right?
Why?
One of our buddies, Mr. Kliger says, you notice anything missing? So if you look at them both side by side, all right, you have United States of America, the eagle, the shield, the guiding star, North Star.
And the colors, it's red, white, and blue.
Correct.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, with the yellow fringe for our brothers and sisters
for the
who
flag.
are into. Yeah.
To the fringe and the flag, yeah.
The fringe and the flag. And the next one is basically like a maze, some kind of dyslexic maze, and it just says the letters.
Wow.
It just I read brothers and sisters into it, whatever you will, of this that is just, yeah. I don't know, but they would do something like this because it feels like you're not really. It just feels like now you're in it for yourself, right? You're just you just want to hey,
what the heck is that? That doesn't inspire confidence. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean, what are they trying to signal? They hate the United States. They're not part of the United States. There's something else going on. I mean, wow.
Right. I knew it was going to be something freaky, but
yeah, it's freaky.
Right. I don't know why they did this, but yeah, read on it what you want, but it seems pretty obvious that a lot of things are missing that seems like it's not something that you might want to do.
People, it's almost never, well, no, I should just say it's never accidental. Nothing is like, oh, my bad. Everything is very deliberate and thought through. So there has to be a reason for that.
No,
you shouldn't just think as well as random, Right? Somebody's nephew was in charge of changing the logo and they just forgot. There's something messed up about that.
No, that was planned. No, I was showing you the website, and they talk about how they plan and how they want to help out because marginalized people of color or whatever, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and yeah, it's insane. I was like, you got to be kidding me, but it's one of those things. But we want to thank you guys for joining us for this time. But before we go to our funny pet of the day, we do want to acknowledge and share with you what we call our charity of the month.
Yes.
which
Yes.
is the Dominican Nuns of Marbury, Alabama. These are some beautiful sisters. Uh, they
And
are just so kind.
they're so worthy of your support. They really are. If you have anything to spare, even $2, they'll be very grateful. They will pray for you. They'll probably reach out to you and keep you on their list. They are a cloistered group of sisters whose only charism, their vocation is to pray for the world. You know, they have a little garden, they do things for themselves, but our understanding, Fletcher and mine, is that they could use a little help with some of the HVAC systems which have gone down and making some repairs. And so they're not ones to make a big fuss, but we know they can use the help. So if you are able to, we have a link there. Fletcher has listed it. You can also just easily Google them. It would be Dominican Monastery of St. Jude, Marbury, Alabama, and it has a PO box where you can, if you want to send snail mail to them. And on their website, they have a link, I think, also to make a donation, which is what you have given us, right, Fletcher?
Right. Yes, and if you, you can find their information right there. Their contact information is there. Dominican Nuns, Dominican Monastery, St. Jude, 143 County Road, 20 East Marlboro, Alabama, 36051. St. Jude Monastery at AOL.com. As you can see, they're still using AOL.com, so that would let you know that, yeah, they are not the most savvy, but they are holy and beautiful, and we would wish you that you would, anything you can give is appreciated. You have the PayPal link. I will also, if you guys are catching this on the replay, I will put it in the comments. Anything you can give, it will be a blessing to them, and when you give, it's also a blessing to you. So
absolutely,
yeah. But you has sent me some cute doggy stuff, and this was one of the videos you sent me. And let's see if I have the audio. I think I have the audio now. Okay. And this is for those of you who are audio listening. I taught my dog how to play fetch by himself, and this is how it went. I'm the happiest dog in the world. Crying emoji, crying emoji. Oh my gosh. So basically is the pup. There is like a machine that shoots out balls when you put them in there. So the pup actually taught himself how to play fetch with the ball, but then drop it inside the machine. So, and wait patiently as it pops it out. Oh my gosh, it's the cutest thing.
Patient, but really enthusiastic.
Right?
He can't wait. She can't wait. Can't wait. She's waiting. Wait, come on. Here's the ball. It's a for those who can't maybe see this, a yellow lab. You know how enthusiastic they are, and they love to play fetch. And you do get tired throwing the ball to them. This is genius. And she's so smart. Even when the ball that she sets down, she's smart enough to know it has to be right in the right spot. It can't just be near it. It has to go right into the little cavity. And she picks it up and puts it in the cavity and then waits. She knows there's a little delay. And then it shoots the ball back at her and she goes chasing it. It's really funny. Oh, it's so cute to see how happy she is about it.
She's so great. She's so happy. Oh my gosh, that is super funny.
That's a wonderful little, yeah.
Thank you. And if you guys have some, just you want to share with us, leave us a message in the comments, or let us know if you have like a cute animal video to share with us that we could share with you. But thank you so much for everybody for joining us today, and for keep supporting the channel. We're growing.
Thank you for all your support. Thank you so much.
Right, and we want to share for those of you who are watching. It looks like I think the Interflex overlords have said that I think 90% of you are not subscribed. So if you can, hey, subscribe. I know a lot of people say it. We also say to subscribe, hit the like, share, and all the funky stuff that you have to do to support the channel. If you share with your friends or neighbors, as our friend Gary sometimes says, if you like the channel, you can share it with your friends. If you didn't like a channel, you can share it with your enemies.
Either way, share the channel.
Either way, share the channel. But thank you guys so much. We will.
We'll catch you next week.
We'll catch you next week, and thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we're out.
We'll
be out. Thank you.